5 of us.
And you are also a veteran from the Air Force, correct?
Well, that's a long story. Army, Army Guard, Air Force Reserve, and Air Force. So I hit them all except the Navy and the Marines.
What inspired you to join the Air Force?
All right,
I didn't
here's
like the Army life.
I went in the Army first. And I'm not ashamed of what I did. Way back when, they gave you a choice: jail or the service. And my dad sitting there and he said, put the in the service. And it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me. It is. It straightened me out real quick.
All you had to do back in the old days is get into a fight.
Yeah.
Go before the judge and he said, here, here.
Yeah. I mean, they gave you a choice. Want to go to jail, want to go to service. So.
My lieutenant wasn't given that choice.
When did you serve and what was your role or job?
Well, when I was in the Army, I was combat MP, glorified infantry. Then one of the cooks left and they went down the line and they seen Marino, so they said, oh, you're Italian, you could cook. So I became a cook. Then after I got out of the Army and went into Guard, I was still a cook. And then when I went from the Guard to the Air Force, I was a cook, and then I transferred into the loadmaster. And the loadmaster is weight and balance of the airplane, fuel consumption, loading the airplane. So that's what I did in the Air Force. But,
He also made pastries at a point too. They taught him how to make roses on cakes.
oh yeah, I was a baker. I made roses and all that. I did all
And
that.
then he stole the general's shrimp one day, cooked it and gave it to the guys. He was a bad boy.
Well, I got in a little bit, not trouble, but they weren't too happy.
All right. What was your experience like during your time in the military?
Well, I went in before Vietnam. I was in '63. And they were just, I was in during the Bay of Pigs. I don't know if you know what that is. That's a Cuban crisis. And they were just talking about Vietnam. I can still remember standing in formation when our platoon sergeant, if you boys don't watch, you're gonna be in the rice paddies of Vietnam. And we're turning around looking at each other, where's Vietnam? Wasn't too long after that, we all knew where Vietnam was. But then from there, I went in the Army Guard, and I was an MP there. And then, of course, I went in the Air Force, and I flew. I didn't fly the plane. I was loadmaster and back. And been around the world 3 times. I don't know how many combat zones I was in, but not like those guys, because we flew in and flew out. They didn't fly in and fly out. They stayed. We supplied the Army and the Marines. I was in the Persian Gulf. I was in probably nine combat zones, but we just flew in and flew out, so it really wasn't. I don't classify it as combat. I classified it, we supported the guys that was in combat. But I had over 100 hours of flying time in combat zones. And I do it all over again.
The Air Force would fly me from up north. Every day they'd fly me closer to Cameron Bay. It wasn't for the Air Force and the helicopters, we'd all be dead.
What are some of your strongest memories from your service?
That's it. Get the court martial. Court martial, where there's a, oh. Of all people.
High school sweetheart.
Drives him nuts. Then he turned her on me. But repeat that, son, please. I'm sorry.
What are some of your strongest memories from your service?
Strongest memories? I really try to forget about the bad times. The life-changing times. I try to remember the good times. And like I told my psychologist once, I says, I wish you could drill a hole here and put a spigot and let all the bad times out of your mind, but they keep resurfacing. But some of the bad times were bad times like any.
Not too many good times.
Good times was like when we would fly to Hawaii and sit on Waikiki Beach and watch the views, or
But the plane always seemed to break when they were in Hawaii or Florida. And they had to wait for a part to come in. That's another story.
The other good times was I played golf in all 50 states. And how many people could say that? I mean, all 50, including Alaska and Hawaii.
I didn't know there were golf courses up in Alaska.
I golfed in Kwajalein, Japan, Thailand, Saudi Arabia. Saudi was great. They give you a little piece of AstroTurf, and you put the ball on it and you hit it. Then you walk over, pick your ball up, put it on the AstroTurf, and hit it again. Largest sand trap you ever seen in your life. And then they had a flag with a circle, and you chipped it in. And then the CE, they made a putt-putt course, and we used to have when we were there, we had tournaments. Because the Air Force, we live different than the Army. The Army and Marines protect us, because we supply them. So we were pretty well safe there, except some of the places we flew in. But some of the bad times was landing, and you couldn't shut the engines down. You had to get the stuff on the airplane, the people on the airplane, and half tie them down and get out of there, because you were limited to the time you could stay on the ground. Other things were when we landed. A lot of times it was you landed and you didn't have a overrun, and you didn't have a chance to take off again. When you hit, you had to stop and hope you could stop. But
Did you carry any weapons on you?
Huh?
Did you carry any weapons on you?
We carried 38s. They got an AK-47, right? The 38 might be able to hit somebody from here to that door. The AK-47 is a mile away shooting at you. Now, what are you gonna do with a 38? But the reason we had the 38s is in case somebody tried to hijack the airplane. That's what that was really for. It wasn't for ground protection. It was just to protect you on the airplane. Most of the time, the guns were locked up in the gun box, and we had SPs, special police. It was on the airplane to protect us when we were in combat zones and stuff. So, but the 38 was just for, I don't know.
It gave you a little bit of courage.
Just to stop a hijack.
What was the most challenging part of your service?
Being away from family. There was times I was going 4, 5, 6 months away from the family. And it was stressful on us to a certain extent. But I look back how stressful it was on your loved ones back home. We knew what we were doing. We knew what we were going through. They didn't. And anytime a strange car pulled in the driveway, how do you think they felt? Knowing that it was going to be bad news. And to me, that was the stressful part. when you're in the airplane and you're flying in a place flying out, basically you know what might happen. So you have some idea. That was stressful, but I always thought back home was stressful, and I tried to call back as much as I could, because my wife was home with 4 children. Well, 2, 3, 4, you know, as a progressive. When I come home, what do you think happened? But I think that was the stressful part for me, was being away, and because you knew what you were going to go through.
The adjustment period for you, every time you came back was different. Yeah, depending on where they sent you.
Get back, your one son's like that. You get back, he's like that. So that was the stressful part.
What values did you learn from your service?
Well, when I first went in the service, I thought I was the toughest kid in the world. And about the second day I was there, Sergeant Constable, never forget that guy. And he said, "Move." And I kind of strutted. And the next thing I knew, I was on the ground. And I had a red mark right here where he punched me. And he stood over, they did that back then. He stood over top of me and he said, "Boy, when I tell you to move, you move." And after that, anytime they said move, you ever see the cartoon where the guy's off the ground about that high and he's moving? That was this guy. It taught me respect. It taught me the value of brotherhood. Because when you're in the military, you're all brothers. You all protect each other. And if something happens, I know that guy's gonna be there for me, and he knows if he's in trouble, I'm gonna be there for them. And it taught me brotherhood, it taught me family, it taught me the value of money.
Did you ever tell your daddy no?
Oh, that would never happen. Here's a true story. I'm home on leave from the service and I smoke Lucky Strikes. And we always kept them in our sock because guys always bum cigarettes. So you always say, "I ain't got any," because they reached it out, tapped it on the table, put it in my mouth. And my dad's there, my 3 brothers, my mom and my other brother. There was 5 boys. And I put it in my mouth. The next thing I knew, I was on the floor. Knocked me right off the chair. But there was this, "You don't smoke in this house till I tell you." Well, about 3 days later, he smoked Pall Mall. Oh, terrible, terrible. Pulled one out and handed it to me, says, "You can smoke." I took my Lucky Strike out, and he says, "Oh no, you smoke what I smoke in this house." And that's the way we were brought up. But you learn, there was respect there, but you see them all the time. But the respect really came in the military. It did, because they taught you to respect and obey, because there was consequences. I see you look at your mother when I say consequences. Am I right?
Tell him about
I mean, you're not wrong.
the guy next to you had to get down and pick up his teeth.
The what?
Line. He had to get down and pick up his teeth.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Boy, are you smiling at me?
Mm-hmm.
Boom! He comes to me, "You smiling at me?" "No, Drill Sergeant." I was always happy-go-lucky. They took my smile away. When I was in D.C., Pentagon had to teach me how to smile and look out. Because when you're in pain all the time from your wounds,
We were in formation one day, and I'll never, ever forget this one. Somebody passed gas. That's how it goes. "Boy, did you do that?" "No, Sergeant." Boom. "Don't you lie to me." Went to the next guy. Says, "Did you hear that?" "No." Boom. He come to me. Now, if I said it wasn't me, or I said I didn't hear it, I'm gonna get hit. So I just stood there. Boy, I asked you a question. Didn't say a word. Boom! Now you answer my question, boy. But it was discipline. It was, and that's.
Because in a war zone, Sarge gives you a hand signal, hit the ground. No question, you hit the ground. If you hesitated, you were dead. And that's what it was all about. They broke us down to where we were lower than worm shit, basically. And then you build up your squad, and you learn teamwork. And without teamwork, you're not gonna succeed. And I tell the schools when I talk to the kids, I says, and all the guys that slept in training, they're the ones that didn't come home. And I tell the kids, I says, you got good teachers, good mentors in high school, learn, that's your job. They teach, that's their job. When you graduate, walk out that door for the last time, you're not gonna make it in society today. You know, back in our days, you can go to the mill, you can quit, go to the other mill, and times have really changed. You know, my dad, bless his soul, he was born in 1925. He drove a car before they had licenses, fishing licenses. And he used to tell me stories about Buck Rogers and the flip phones. My grandkids asked me today, what kind of phone did you have? Called pen and pencil. Took a week to get home, took a week to come back. And now we got all these gizmos and gadgets, and I don't want to learn. That's your guys' job, to be supportive of what's going on. And all our military records are on digital. Can you write a letter or print a letter?
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
I
Oh,
can,
look up, Mom.
I can write one or I can print
Right.
one.
You can print one. You can't write a letter in cursive.
Not in cursive, no.
Cursive?
I can write a few words in cursive.
Your name.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I taught my grandkids. Now my 8-year-old grandkid, they're teaching him cursive. He's in a school in Indiana. To confuse you guys, I'll give you a rotary phone, a letter explaining that, how to use that phone. And she's laughing. And
Could you tell time?
Yep.
That?
Yeah.
Yep.
is that digital?
Oh, he has a regular watch.
A regular
All
watch.
right, my man. I
Yeah.
like that.
But it's and then I started spelling words in front of a 7-year-old. He's over there giggling. And I says, why is Kyle laughing? And then Kyle says, I know what you're spelling. I know what you did. You know, these kids are so smart. But learn. You not change a flat tire?
Yeah, mind that topic.
I don't know how.
You know how to sew a button?
Look, that phone weekend did be.
I don't know how to sew anything.
You know how to sew a button?
No.
You know, back when we went to school, they had home ec. A lot of guys did it just to learn how to cook. They had wood shop, metal shop, electrical shop, and
Mechanical drawing.
mechanical drawing. I took typing in summer school because I hated the teacher. I took 6 weeks in summer school versus
Home ec.
home ec.
I made clothes in home ec. I made clothes. I made a sweatshirt. My mom still has the sweatshirt I made in home ec.
Okay.
Do you know why they did away with all that?
No.
I was on the Board of Education, And some politician down in Columbus said it's more important to teach the children of the state of Ohio art and music appreciation than it was to have home ec and shop and all that, sewing. And that's when they did away with it. It was crazy. I went crazy over that. But that's why they did away with it. Who has the next question?
What inspired you to become involved with the Trumbull County Veteran Service Commission?
Well, I helped veterans don't start a smack, for a long, you heard me as, I was gonna assault him. I helped veterans for a long time, and I tried to get on for a long time, cause I thought I could do more good being on the commission. And Kenny and myself applied for the position. Well, the judge did because the judge appoints you. And the judge was kind of in a dilemma. He had a future Medal of Honor recipient, and he had me, a loadmaster. And Kenny stepped aside. So I wouldn't be on the commission if it wasn't for Kenny. But I just felt that I could do a lot more for the veterans, and I feel I have. And if you would bring Tom, in here, he would say it's a lot better. And anything you do in life, and I'm going to talk to you like a grandfather, because that's what I am to you. Anything you do in life, the day you walk through that door and the day you walk out, you have to know in your heart that you made the place better because you walked in than when you walk out. If you walk out with the feeling that, I don't know, you didn't do your job. I don't care what job you're doing.
I told the judge, I said, I'll keep him in line.
It's just like being a football player, basketball player, anything you do in life. I get tired of hearing people say champion pride, Niles pride, Harding pride. To me, that doesn't mean nothing. You know what it means to me? Self-pride. You walk off that field, you walk off that athletic contest, in your heart, if you know you did your best, win or lose, you're a winner. Just like taking a test. Anything you do in life, you have to know in your heart if you did the best you could do. Whether it's being a parent, whether it's being a friend, you have to know that you did your best. Nothing else matters. Remember that.
I was able to save 7 out of 18.
Did you like that speech?
That was very nice.
Oh, I say that to all kids.
And
It's
it's
true.
very
I
true.
still beat
Very
I
myself.
don't want to hear about Indian pride. Get out of here, Indian
Because
pride.
I felt I should have been able to save more.
I'm serious. Doesn't mean nothing.
Not
It
knowing
doesn't.
the odds I was up against. They tell me just to let it go. I was still able to save 7, so.
It to me, the two most important things in life, to me, is the self-pride #1. And when I'm done doing something, if I know it was the best I could do, and whether I built this building and it was the best I could do and it collapsed, I feel bad, but I know in my heart I tried to do the best. Okay? I got another question now, since I answered that.
How do these organizations help veterans in the community?
This organization?
Yeah.
Well, we strive to help veterans. Our main objective in this building is, the commissioners know, we just oversee. The most important thing that this building does is to help veterans and the veteran service officers who work here. And Tom will be one very shortly. That's what's the important thing? We help veterans that need help. We have a financial assistance program that last year we gave out helping veterans almost $200,000, and it's gonna be more next year. I got the number in my book, I should have brought it, on how many veterans that we've got disability benefits, that we got spouses that are eligible for veterans assistance because of their loved one that was in the military. And that's the most important thing we do. The commissioners, we kind of oversee it and guide them a little bit, but as long as they're helping veterans, I'm happy. I ain't gonna
part
rock the boat.
is to get the veterans here to ask for help, because they're too damn proud to ask for help. So between him and me, we kick them in the rear and tell them to get their butt down here. My ex-brother-in-law, who married my ex-wife, every time I see him, I says, "Did you apply yet?" No. I kick him in the butt. Finally, after about 5 years, he finally come down here, and guess what? Even though he did not leave the States, he got disability for what the training he went through and certain things that happened in the Army. And he called me up and thanked me. I says, "You're a son of a bitch, but I don't care. You're still a veteran. You earned it. It's nothing's given to you." And these guys are so proud. Well, I saved it for somebody worse than me. I said, "No. Time you get sick, it's too late. Time to process through and everything. And I tell them, don't be ashamed to ask for help. You earned it. That's part of the commitment. You gave it your all to the military. It's up to the military and the government to take care of us now." People know where we have coffee and our bread. They come in looking for us. You don't know me, but can you help me?
The commission here, we bring over $100 million back to the county.
Through
Is
disability.
not we. Them, and I always say that, I'm sitting in here at a meeting, them back there, the service officers, they've strived to bring over $100 million back to this county in disability and other benefits for the veterans. So it's them back there, and I'm prejudiced, of course, but they're the best we got, and adding Tom to it, we even make it better, so.
Your heart's gotta be in helping veterans. Our goal, my goal every day is to help somebody, and we do.
Next question.
What are some of the biggest challenges that veterans face today?
The biggest challenge that they face today is they don't know about what they're eligible for. And our job is to try to get the information out to them and to their spouses, because a lot of spouses are eligible for stuff too. But the biggest challenge of veterans today is finding out what they're eligible for and dealing with what they dealt with in the military. And most people, not most, all of us, anybody that's been in the military, whether they believe it or not, they've changed. They have, it's almost, and the only way I can put it, did you ever see the movie about the rat? They ring the bell, the rat goes and eats. They had a study that they rang a bell, the rat wouldn't eat. Rang a bell, the rat wouldn't eat. They rang the bell, the rat wouldn't, there was no food. It's the same thing with the guys in the military. You were taught when to get up, when to eat, when to go to bed, when to march, when to this, when to that. And then when it affects you. And then when you come out, you're like a little bit disorientated. And the young kids today that went to the Persian Gulf and Afghanistan, most guys in World War II only served one tour. Vietnam, most guys served one tour. Some guys volunteered for a second, specialties went back a second or a third time. But you talk to some of these young kids today, they went to Afghanistan 4 or 5 times. And that affects them. That's why I think it's every 23 minutes now that a veteran tries to commit suicide. Because they don't know how to reach out for help. And that's the biggest challenge for them. They don't know how to reach out for help. And that's sad. And it's all veterans commissions and the VA to reach out and help them. Okay.
What does being a veteran mean to you?
I'm proud to be a veteran. I'd do it all over again. I would. I'd do everything over again. I was proud.
Army or Air Force?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I was proud to serve my country. I was honored to serve my country. Whether it be the Army, Army Guard, Air Force, I was honored that they let me serve my country. And the time I spent in, I always said this from way back when, I'm serving so you could grow up free, you could grow up free, she could. Because I've been in countries that if you weren't the smart kid in the class, you were working out in the fields. You didn't have a choice. You got a choice to go to college. Even if you're not the smartest kid in school, you still have a choice. Some countries you didn't. They decided, and it's still that way in some countries. They
Canada?
decided,
You,
and that's
Canada
what-
goes 13 years high school. And then college, military. You have to make a decision.
That's what I wanted my children and my neighbor's kids, my nephews, you young kids, to be able to grow up free and to choose the path of life you want. Except if you want to be a criminal, you know, now that's horrible. I didn't want to protect those guys, but
That's the only job I can get when I came back, when I got out of the service. Explosives, dynamite, C4, weapons. They said, we're gonna send you to McDonald's to flip burgers. I says, no, you're not, I'll kill somebody.
stop and think if you didn't have a choice. Stop and think about that. That you knew that you were gonna go to school till you were in the 5th grade, and you weren't the smartest kid in the class. You were done with school. You're gonna go work. And that's what you're gonna do the rest of your life. So I'm proud to be a veteran, and I'm proud of what I've done. I do it again, and I'm proud that I'm helping young people still have a choice in their life.
Honor Guard. It's an honor for us to do an honor guard for a deceased veteran.
Yeah.
Even though our little group we're all busted up, we still give them a 21 rifle salute, hold the flag. And people don't care if we're not stripped like a 19-year-old. We give them the honors they earn.
I will say about that is I used to, before I came to America, I was born in Guatemala. And if I would stay there, I can guarantee you my options of being successful is very limited. Because kids my age would be working to just survive.
Yes, yes.
He knows.
Mm-hmm.
You lived it. And I like Guatemala. I've been there.
Yeah.
I like it, but it's sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. And I can see why people try to come to this country. Because there's so many opportunities for young people. Now, when your mom and dad come, there was opportunities, but not like there is for you. And that's why they came here. They wanted opportunity to they wanted to give you a better life, you and your brothers and sisters, whatever you have.
And that's why I'm gonna try to be a success here, to give that, to like honor, because my mom, you know, she gave me up for adoption, because she knew she cannot afford to raise a child. So that's why I'm gonna try to be successful in this country.
I'll tell you a short story.
Wait
Kim Mitchell.
1 second, Kenny.
Oh,
She gave you up for adoption because she loved you.
Yeah.
And she wanted you to have a better life. And you should cherish that thought. That she loved you and she wanted you to have a better
and
life.
it broke her heart too.
Yep, and my heart goes out to her. It does.
Are you still in touch with her?
No.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story. Kim Mitchell, Vietnam. She was in an orphanage. She don't know parents or nothing. But she was 1 year old in Saigon. An Air Force guy adopted her, brought her home. She went to the Naval Academy. A very smart girl. She went into the Navy, retired as a lieutenant commander. Her daughter is now at the academy, and she's got an EED, which is like a PhD, but hers is in education. Now she works for the Medal of Honor Society. She said if that Air Force sergeant didn't adopt her and brought her home, she'd be in the rank tags today.
I'm gonna challenge you. Okay?
Yep.
Why don't you write a book? No, I'm serious as a judge. Write a book on your experience. And I'll tell you what, it might come out to be a bestseller because it's true. It's not a fiction. And he might even be, you two get together and write a book on your life and how coming to America, it changed you and the opportunities you have. Because you know what? Most kids in America, most I'm saying, not all of them, because you still got good kids. You do. And I'm part of Buckeye Boys State, so we get 1,200 kids that are good kids. But most kids don't realize how good they have it. You do, because you live both sides of the fence. You should sit and write a book. Just start out with notes and write a book. I'm telling you, it'd be a bestseller because it would be a true story from a true experience.
Yeah.
It would be.
They want me to write a book. I said, I'm not in the mood. My son's buddy, computer whiz, the company sent him to Peru to do the IT in the hospital. He met a nurse. And he went to her house one time, which was a roof, poles, and a dirt floor with chickens walking around. She'd take the bus every day to go to work. It took him a year to do the paperwork to bring her home. And then he had 90 days to marry her once they got home. And she's another one. She went from a poor situation, and then she got her nose fixed because she just looked like the Aztecs. She had that big hook in her nose, and she's living a good life. She wants a baby. He says, no, as soon as I give you a baby, you'll divorce me and I gotta pay you to get child support. He says, I'll buy you a dog. So she got a dog, and they've been happily married for probably 10 years now. And, you know, she's another one that came from to here, and her opportunities, and it's just, no, seriously, write a book. Just make notes, you know, what you can remember from the beginning, or start a journal. And my wife was in the hospital for 10 months in Cleveland.
I'm honored
I did a
to
job.
be sitting here answering your questions. Too many times people in this country say, our youth is terrible, our youth isn't going anywhere. They don't see the good. The news media always prints the terrible. Am I right? Because if it's good, they don't wanna print it, cause it ain't gonna sell. This is good. This is our future. And I'm telling you, I'm being honest with you. And Tom knows I won't lie. I'm honored to be sitting here answering your questions. I really am. Because this is our future. And I know there's other kids at your school that are just as good as you. But I'm honored to be sitting here answering your questions. And you better write a book, because if you don't, I'm gonna come back when I die and haunt you. You'll be laying in bed and you'll see this face, where's that book?
We take some pictures?
Yeah, once, they got a couple more questions,
Okay.
I think. Go ahead, son.
What advice would you give to students about serving their community?
The community as a whole in Trumbull County, every community honors the veterans. They do. They do a great job in Trumbull County honoring the veterans. But the advice I could give the community is to support the youth. Do more for the youth. Let the youth know that you support them. Do have more activities or something. And I don't know what the answer is, but, you know, support them. Do something. You know, I know the schools support you quite a bit. Hopefully they do. I mean, they have activities and stuff like that. But once you get out of high school, what do you got here? Something, what could you do? That's why kids don't come back. You go to college, I guarantee 9 out of 10 kids that go to college never come back to this area. You know why? Ain't nothing to do. There's no jobs, nothing to do. You go to Cleveland, maybe you go to Columbus, wherever you're gonna go to school at. There's something to do in Cleveland almost every night. There's something in Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton. What's there to do here? Monday through Thursday, what is there to do? Stop and think about that. What's there to do?
And every military
Games?
organization has scholarships. And the biggest part is volunteer time with that organization. You'd be surprised. You can Google it, and, you know, take the American Legion, the DAV.
I forgot about the girlfriend.
AMVET. They all have scholarships, but there's criteria you gotta make. They always pick the ones that do the most voluntary time.
You got a girlfriend?
I do not.
You got a girlfriend? No. You got a squeeze that you're eyeballing on? Ah, he's got somebody who's eyeballing. You got somebody you got an eyeball on? Yeah, he was honest. You didn't want to say nothing. Wow, no. But the thing I always say to students when I talk in schools, and I ask them, what do you think the single most thing that I regret in life? What do you think it was? I didn't study harder in school. I'm successful, but I had to work to get here, trust me. But if I would have just used a fifth of my brain, I could have been a lot more successful. And that's the thing that, you know, when you get older, not now, remember that statement. If you ever talk to a school, you tell them, even though you'll be very successful in life, trust me, the single most important thing that you messed up in life, you should have studied harder, because you'd have been more successful than you are. And that's what I regret. I mean, I did enough just to get by.
I was a C student, just did enough to get by. I never studied. I got out of high school, I had jobs. That I was happy making, you know, started off $1 an hour in high school, car wash, $2 an hour for ODOT. And when I retired at the age of 62, I was making over $40 an hour plus benefits. But like you said, I had to work for it. I wasn't college material, book learning, but I was good with my hands. And everything worked out nice for me. And plus, when I came back from overseas, there was times I only had $1 in my wallet for weeks at a time. and he always took care of me. He's taking care of me today, and 50-some years, I still ask him, why'd you let me come home?
Got another question?
Is there anything else that you'd like to share that we didn't ask?
Well, the only thing I could say is that for every action, there's a reaction, right? Not a reaction could be good, but a reaction could be bad. Before you do anything, take a step back, take a deep breath, say, what kind of reaction am I gonna get for the thing I'm gonna do? Okay, whether it's marriage, mom, whatever, school, whatever, think before you do.
Engage the brain before you engage your mouth.
And if you're gonna put something on social media, remember one thing, and I told my children this, you put it on social media, is it gonna stay there forever? Huh? How many politicians have had their careers ruined because something they put on social media 50 years ago, they come back to haunt them? Because remember, everybody has enemies. Your mom has enemies, I have enemies, even he has enemies. You say something, or you put it on social media, and I know she probably told you because you looked at her, you put it on social media, it never, ever, ever goes away. And you could be 50 years old, a CEO of a company, and something you did in college come back to haunt you, cost you.
You know what was terrible? When school got let out last year, a lot of these girls posted a lot of bad things on Facebook. It's gonna be there. It'll be there to haunt them. I think
Again?
this is a toy. This ain't a toy. This is a.
You realize
I don't
how
know what
much
you call
trouble I'd have been in if we'd have had these in school? Look at her. Yeah. And we had, the girls wore long dresses when I was in school, because if they sat down and the dress went above their knee, they got sent home.
Oh, he went to Catholic school. See the knots on his head?
You were after that. You were the mini and maxi skirt people. Weren't you?
I plead the
No,
fifth.
you were the
I
mini
plead the
maxi skirt.
fifth.
We
You had
wore,
the mini skirt, then you had the maxi skirt.
we weren't allowed to wear jeans. It had to be slacks. It was tough. It was, if you look at an old movie with high schools, you'll notice they're all dressed nice. Not, boys had to shave. Half these schools I get into, they got full beards.
And they didn't have to swear. I can remember as a young kid, my dad was taking us to see, when he said Scarlet,
Gone with the Wind? Gone with the Wind?
Gone with the
yes,
Wind.
when he said Scarlet, I don't give a damn, we're in the theater. Now this is way back when. And he said, I don't give a damn. And the whole theater went, oh. Because that was something big.
Oh, yeah.
They said damn in a movie. Now, if you don't hear the F word, it ain't a movie. Stop and think about it. The F word is just like, hi, how you doing? And you hear it every day in school, don't you? It's like, but think before you do something, and don't get on the social media and call this person or say that. Don't do that, because it's gonna hang with you. It's almost like AIDS, it'll stay with you forever. But I appreciate you two, I do. I'm honored to sit here with our future. And I hope I live long enough to see you graduate and you end up something special. But I'm 80 years old and I only got a few more years.
I talked a couple times, Austin Town Finch.
And I will,
over 600 people in here.
I will leave you with this last thought, and you can shut it off. Your family's always your family. That's always your family. Your family's your family. But when you get married, who becomes your priority? The person you marry and the children you raise. That's your family. You'll never forget your family. But your family is the one that you marry and your children. And that's your most important thing in life, is to provide for them and teach them right from wrong. Remember that. Okay, go ahead.
Just thank you again for taking the time out of your day to like do this with us. Thank you for your service from both of you. So
Did you two drive? Or did you ride with somebody?
We drove both of us separately.
Oh, you rode separately?
Yeah,
How old are you?
I'm 18.
18.
How old?
18.
19, I got drafted.
I can't even remember when I was 18.
Then the second stage of my life began.
You can shut that off.
Okay.